Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at another CCC, Canadian Computing Competition from Waterloo, and today we're going to be looking at a 2005 S1 called Snow Calls. So let's look at the problem real quick. You've been snowed in at your summer residence, and without the internet, unfortunately, this means you're going to have to rely on using the phone to get what you need to survive. Pizza, pop, and the latest video games. Oftentimes, companies replace the digits of their phone numbers with characters to make their phone numbers more memorable, because apparently it's easier to remember 416 by more than it is to remember 416-289-6673. Anyways, some companies even add extra digits or characters like 604 pizza box, but any digits after the 10th digit are obviously irrelevant for phone numbers. Since it's getting tedious to do the conversion by hand, write a program to help change all the phone numbers in your phone book to the form xxx-xxx-xxxx using the image included in the zip file to assist you. I actually had this test for my students, so I'll show you the image in a second here. It's right here, and we'll look at that in a second. But let me explain to you what's happening here. So input consists of a series of test cases. The first variable consists of an integer t, the number of test cases. Following this is an array of t elements consisting of alphanumeric characters separated by hyphens, representing valid phone numbers. No line is longer than 40 characters. You can assume all letters to be uppercase. For output the phone number in the form of xxx-xxx-xxxx. Okay, so let's have a look as an example. So you're going to have a variable that has a number 5, for example, and another variable that's an array of strings that has the same elements here, so 5 elements here. And these 5 elements would have a number of some sort with numbers and letters, or maybe just numbers and some dashes in between. If there are 10 digits, great. If there are more than 10 digits, like here, there's 11 digits, right? So pizza's 5, 8, 11 digits. Anything after the 10th digit is discarded. So our job is to take this and essentially convert it. So take all of this and convert it to these numbers. Cool. And we could use this image here to kind of help us out. So for 2, it's for ABC, it's 2, DF is 3, and so on and so forth. Okay. So let's have a look at how we're gonna do something like this. So I've created a function here called find answer, and I'm taking in 2 parameters, an array of type, it's an array of string, and just an integer, okay? So I'm taking an array of strings and an integer, and I'm returning an array of strings. Cool. So I've got 2 variables here, var real phone numbers, which is the array of strings, and var real phone number, which is just 1 string. Okay, let's see what I'm doing here. This is actually a pretty simple solution. I've got a for loop here, that's the outer for loop, and that's the inner for loop. So my outer for loop here, I'm iterating, so that's my loop counter, I called it index, and I'm iterating from 0 to count. So in this case, count would be 5, and it's going 0 to 5, but not including 5. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's how you do this in Swift. And the second inner loop, I'm going from index 2, so whatever the current iteration of the outer loop, sorry, no, that's incorrect. So for the inner loop, I'm going for index 2. Index 2 is the loop counter's name in array, and the array is whatever I'm going to take in here, right? So whatever I'm going to take in here in this example, it'll be this. So I'm looking at the array and I'm putting an index. So let's say if this is iteration 0, I'm going to be looking at this. In the second iteration of the outer loop, this will be 1, so I'll be looking at this element, and so on and so forth. Great. And inside the inner loop, what I'm doing is I'm switching index 2. Well, index 2 happens to be what? So if I option click on index 2, if I option click on index 2, it's of type character. Why? Because I'm iterating through this string. So I'm iterating through one element of the array of strings, which is really a string. And when you iterate through a string, the loop counter is going to be character. So I'm iterating through every character. And I'm saying, listen, let's look at every character. If the character happens to be a 0, then go to real phone number, which is just a string, and append 0. If it's a 1, append 1. if it's a 2A, B, or C, right? Because if you look at this, 2A, B, C, then append a 2. If it's 3, D, E, F, right? 3, D, E, F, append a 3. And so on and so forth. So I'm iterating through every single character in the string. And the way I handle the dashes, the hyphens, whatever you want to call them, is that they're not in here. I just say if it's default, so if it's anything else, break the switch and start it all over again here, right, in the inner loop. So I'm sort of ignoring dashes. So what ends up happening when I finish all of this, I should be left with a string that is the numbers with no dashes, with none of that, of the equivalent, just numbers of these alphanumeric strings. However, we're not done yet because we've got a few problems. We need to put dashes in the right places, and we need to look at the fact that some of these strings are more than 10 numbers, right? So this example, it's going to give me 11 numbers. Anyways, so this does the first part. The second part is actually really small, right? I go while real phone number dot count is greater than 10, remove the last, and this iterates as many times as it needs until it breaks. And when does it break? When real phone number, which is the string, right, is less than is not greater than 10. So as soon as it hits 10, this statement, this condition is no longer true, and therefore it breaks. So in this case, in here, it'll only iterate once. Here, this is 4, and 4, 2, this is 10. So with these, it'll actually won't even, this won't even run, but it'll run with this because there's 11. If there was an example here where it had 15, this thing would iterate 15 times to remove the last digit. All right, so after this while loop is done, I have all the strings, all these strings converted to the proper numbers, and it only goes up to 10, not up to 11 or 12 or 13. I cut it off at 10, but there's still no dashes. Okay, how do I add the dashes? To add the dashes, I've got these two lines here, and essentially it's, you have to know how to use strings. And you could look at the string class in Swift to kind of do this. Different languages obviously do things differently, but so I go real phone number dot insert. So remember, real phone number is this string. Dot insert the dash at real phone number dot index, real phone number dot start index offset by 3 and by 7. Well, why? Because I'm putting a dash after the on the third element, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. And on the 7th element, 4, 5, 6, 7th element. Cool, so I'm putting two dashes here. And then I'm saying real phone numbers, which is the array, append real phone number. Cool, and then resetting real phone number to an empty string. And I'm redoing this all over again. So now I start with this, and I do that all over again, and I do this, and I do that all over again, and I do this, and I do that all over again, and I do this. And then by the end of it, I should have in real phone numbers a array of strings that has the numbers up to 10 numbers with the dashes. And then I'm just returning real phone number. Now, ignore this. This is just to kind of show you how fast this, I always like to kind of see how fast my code compiles. So this line you could ignore, it's not part of the solution. And this line right here you could ignore, it's not part of the solution. But I call up the function here, and you'll see that it prints out the correct stuff. Boom. Cool. Right? So this is, I took this in and I converted this. If I run this here, I'll show you how fast everything runs. So it took quite a bit because I have video recording, I've got multiple screens running, and this is a slower laptop, I guess. Oh, okay. It's much better, actually. Yeah, it shouldn't have taken 10 seconds to begin with. Anyways, cool. So that's pretty much the solution. Hope you enjoyed this, and subscribe and hit that like button for more videos. All right, I keep them coming.